Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon class. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Right. So today we are going to discuss last week exercise. Alright. So this question over here. Okay, so you are required to write an algorithm to calculate area and volume. Okay, given the equation over here. Okay, class. Area and volume, although you need to calculate two things over here, but don't produce two different algorithm, guys. Some of you submitted two different algorithm. The first algorithm to calculate area, okay, starting with input area, radius, height, calculate area and print everything. And another one, again, input height and radius, and then calculate volume. You submitted two different algorithm, so it is wrong. Okay, if you submit something like that, you will get some marks. Okay, probably just for the inputs and for the outputs. Okay, not for the whole process. Because you need to only produce one algorithm, okay, that includes both equation. Okay, and over here mentioned that pi is constant. Pi is constant, so you need to have the value of pi somewhere in your algorithm. You don't leave the variable pi hanging without value. If you simply put pi, the variable pi in your algorithm without any value, then you will lose some marks over there. So let's have a look at some of your friend answer. Ni saya dah buka ni, Muhammad Rizal. Ada Muhammad Rizal? Are you here, Muhammad Rizal?
Ada, sir.
Okay, good. So if I call your name, you didn't answer, consider absent. Alright, so this is siapa tadi? Rizal. Siapa tadi?
Yes, saya Rizal.
Okay. Okay, good. You have the algorithm number. Okay, some of you missing the algorithm number. This is very important because later on you want to check with the desk checking. So we are going to check based on the algorithm line number. So it should tally with this number. Okay, read RH. Okay, if you may follow the rules of naming variable, so it should be meaningful. Write the full name and radius, height. Although in the equation given like this, but when we convert it to algorithm, you need to follow the rules on how to write down correct variable name. And then calculate the area over here. Okay. And then print area over here. Calculate volume over here and print volume over here. Okay, overall I will say that this is okay, but not 100% okay. First, of course, the value of pi, as I mentioned earlier. So you need to provide the value of pi. Okay, so how you want to calculate if you don't have the value? So you can do it either you put it as constant value immediately, meaning that, for example, 2 2 is a constant value because you cannot change. the value of 2. So it is considered as constant value, fixed value lah. So you may put it straight away over here, 3.142. For example, 3.142. This one also 3.142. 3.142 because it is a constant value. Or, okay, if you prefer to have the pi variable, so you need to give the value for pi. Okay, so normally we put the initial value on top of the algorithm lah, over here. So supposed to be itu lah kan. So pi equal to 3.14. And this one 3, 4, 5 and so on lah. Okay, understand? Okay, another thing is in terms of print, this one. I'm not saying this is wrong. This is correct. However, if you may, okay, if there's no problem for you to group all the similar process together, okay, for example, read, group it together back to back. Okay, calculation, if no problem for you to group it together, meaning that in between the first process and the second process, there are no other process. And for example, this one, if you put it back to back, and this is what I said as back to back. So is there any problem? No problem, kan? So put it back to back because later on, once we go to function chapter, okay, we are going to, okay, for example, if you want to create a function to print, and print function. If you remember the IC, and in IC we have print function. Yeah. So what is the process within the print function? So what we need to do is we need to find out all the process that happen back to back, and we can cut this and put it in function print. Okay. So the question asks you to convert the non-module algorithm to a module types of module types of algorithm. So you need to find out the similar process that is back to back. Okay, it can be only back to back process. Okay, you can cut this process and put it in a specific function. Okay, for function calculate. Okay, if this is a situation, so you may cut these two process and put it in function calculate. This one, you may cut this two inputs, kan? Input R, input H, put it in function input. Okay, so that is why we need it as much as possible, if no problem, putting all the process the same process, meaning input with the input together. So put it like that. Okay, because if let's say you have it like this, okay, in terms of non-module algorithm, this is non-module, okay, doesn't involve any function, okay, doesn't involve any user-defined function, not built-in function, built-in function such as power, kan, that one is built-in function. I'm saying user-defined function, okay, the function that you as a programmer create by yourself. If you put it like this, you cannot cut this and cut this process together and put it in one function, because in between it there's another function that you cannot cut and put it in function print, because it will definitely not belong to function print. You understand me, class? You understand? Understand or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but let's say you cannot avoid. Okay, it's not every time you need to put it together. Sometimes in some situation you cannot avoid. Okay, you cannot produce a algorithm that putting everything back to back together. Okay, back to back, okay, together. For example, it is unavoidable. You need to have this kind of algorithm. For example, so leave it like this. Okay, so this is the final answer you cannot change. If you change, the answer is going to be wrong. For example, then so you may have it. You may have something like this. If you can avoid, avoid not putting it everything together back to back, then you need to put it back to back lah. All right. So this is algorithm, algorithm. And then let's have a look at Nirukhan. Are you here,
Yes, sir.
Nirukhan?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So, okay, algorithm. Okay. So, one more important aspect in algorithm is the indent. Okay, indent showing the level. Okay. Of course, when we are still in sequential logic structure, every instruction is in the same level. Okay, it's less important. But once we go to the decision and looping, indent is very important to differentiate the level of each of the instruction. So this is no indent, Nirok, indent meaning that this is supposed to be slightly to the right. This is supposed to be slightly
Yes,
to
sir.
the right.
Sir, actually, sir, I'm a new student, so I miss many class. Then I see video, then I created the, I do this assignment.
Okay, okay, okay.
Sir.
All right. Okay, so this one also missing the value of pi. Okay, so same lah, same like previous answer. All right. Okay, let's have a look at the desk checking. Okay, desk checking. This one I cannot edit lah. Okay, let's open up Microsoft Word version. Nasrin, are you here, Nasrin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, pi. So when we say that pi, the question strictly mention pi is a constant, and so constant you cannot give it the value by using input lah, because it is a constant. Constant ni apa ni? Pi. Ni ada ni, pi. Almost kan. So pi equal to 3.14. So you cannot put pi in the input process. Okay, so number is missing. Okay, so let's say we have number over here lah. 1, 2, ni 2 ke? 3. Okay. Okay, so pi 3.14. Okay, good. So you have pi over here already. So make sure if you want to use variable pi, include pi in your desk checking. Because pi is a variable, kan? Desk checking must consist all the variables. That's why we need pi over here. Unless if you put it as a constant, meaning that straight away you put 3.14 over here. So you are not using pi variable. So you don't have to have pi in your desk checking. Okay, so right now, ni apa tadi, line 1, this is line 2 kan? This is line 2 kan? So line 2 supposed to have the 3.14. Yeah, tadi kan, we already changed this. So over here, this is input. Input we have a question mark over here. Okay, and then line 3, we have input for radius, okay, and height. Okay, radius and height, the inputs, question mark. And then line 4, we have the calculation. Okay, make sure you use the real value. Fine, as we discussed last week. So you must provide with the real value, because this checking is all about value. Okay, same goes over here. We know that we are calculating value because this question is in this column. So equal to line number 6 ni 6 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. This is missing. Okay, this one you need to put because otherwise we are not knowing this value belong to which variable so area area equal to. So this also differentiate between the input and output. So this is input, this is output. This is volume. Alright, so this is correct. Okay, so it is based on your algorithm. So if you don't have this, then your dash checking is going to be different. And let's say if you use a different line for the read you use read radius, and then another line you have read height. Of course, your dash check is going to be different. Clear, guys? Any question for the first exercise? First question. Alright.
No, sir.
All right. Let's go to the second question. Okay, second question. Okay, some information is missing because I purposely removed the figure. Because if you see the figure straight away, it will be easier for you to come up with the solution. So by removing this, you need to read a bit. So as you can see over here, total subjects is fixed to 3 because currently we are in sequential logic structure. Okay, unless we are already in looping. In the looping, so the situation is going to be different. But for now, since the subjects is fixed to 3, so each 3 of the subject the value is going to be stored in 3 different variable. So you cannot have only one subject. You need subject 1, subject 2, subject 3. Okay, because we are not using looping yet. Not yet. Okay. And what's important over here, mention fee for each subject is 55 ringgit. So you need to times by 3, okay, to get the total fees. And also over here, the system should display metric ID, student name, and registered subjects. Okay, so where to get metric ID and student name? From who? From user, okay? Alright, so we have subject 1, subject 2, subject 3. Okay, as I mentioned, please use official variable naming. So cannot have space, cannot use this symbol over here. Okay. Subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, student name, metric ID. Okay, correct. And then required result. So what's missing over here? What's wrong over here? Siapa punya tadi? Nasrin. Can you spot what is wrong with your answer for the required result? Nasrin?
Registered subjects.
Supposed to be? Supposedly what? What is the answer?
Registered subject.
Registered. Itu. Are you sure? Where do you get the value? If you put registered subject, where do you get the value? What is the value? Huh? Jangan, don't get confused. Don't get confused. For example, over here, let's say I want to print radius. Print radius. If I print R for radius, do I get the value similar with this radius? Nasrin?
No.
No, right? So same goes over here. So supposedly?
Subject 1, subject 2, subject 3.
Okay, subject 1 subject 2, subject 3. Okay. Consistent and make sure once you put it over here, make sure it's can have the value. You need to think a bit over here. Make sure you know the value. What's supposed to be the value. If you spot that, oh, this variable, where can I get the value? So meaning that something wrong with the variable. Okay, same goes over here. So subject fees apa kan? Supposedly what, Nafis? Nafis apa ni? Apa nak buat? Nasrin. Supposedly this one? Apa dia?
Fees.
Fees only consistent fees. Okay, this one correct? Okay, this one defines subject 1, subject 2, subject 3 as constant, define subject as input value. Okay. Okay lah, okay. This is acceptable lah. Boleh change this only Right. Okay, I see This is wrong. This is wrong So this is the same level Same level, so you cannot put it 3 times Okay, although this will be discussed later on in the chapter function but this is just to let you know that this is not representing single instruction for input. Meaning that, for example, this is input this is input, this is input. We are not separating, put it separate in a different function. This is function. So doesn't mean that this is to read subject 1, this is to read subject 2, this is to read subject 3. No, we combine all 3. Okay, then we have 3 separate instructions. We take this instruction and we put it in one single function. Okay, so we need only one function that store input subject 1, input subject 2, input subject 3. Okay, stored inside of this function. Okay, understand That's why in the IPO, you can see over here, read. This is the same, okay, the same module. That's why the name is similar. If you want, let's say whatever reason you want to put it in a different function. But not good. This design is not good. Just example, read 2, read 3. Okay. So you cannot put read over here. So read 2, read 3. Okay. And then you can have this kind of design. Okay. Read 2, read 2, read 3. Okay. Read 2, read 3. And this is wrong. Tak ada read. Understand? Ni. Nasrin.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so we have only one function. Okay, one function read, one function calculate, and one function print. Because the name is the same, so only one. Okay, so then we go to the IPO. Okay, input process. Okay, the module for input. Okay, this one correct. Student name. Okay, use variable, proper variable. Okay, read metric ID. This one read. Okay, good. And then calculate fees. Okay, calculate fees. Okay, you may write down the full equation. Okay. Okay, and then display subject. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is supposed to be subject 1, subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is missing another one. Print. If 4 over here, this supposed to be 4. Print. Okay. This is the last registration. This is the last. Okay. And it will return the process to the main function. Okay. This is this one. Main function. Right. Sopan lagi tak? Another example. Nurul Adriana. Are you here, Adriana?
Yes, sir.
Oh, subject fee. Okay, you want to make it variable okay, normally we put input only over here kan. So what's the input? You didn't put input over here Input tadi lah.
Okay.
Okay. Name, apa tadi? Subject name, student name, subject 1, subject 2, subject 3 tu kan. Metric ID. Okay, this also missing student name, registered subject. Subject 1, subject 2, subject 3. Define registered subject. Not only registered subject lah. Okay, all the inputs. Okay, constant and define. And then you must put star on the solution that you choose. Ini panjang lagi Not only registered subject, all the inputs.
Okay, sir.
Okay, same goes to over here lah. Okay, ni don't get this confused This is output. Okay, output. Over here, your output, you put only 1. Display total fee. So wrong Suppose if this is 1, this is only 1. Total fee only. So if you have more than 1 output, you must list down all the display display std id, display std name, display subjects, Okay. Don't get confused with this. This is not belong to the output. This belong to input. So input should be, you know, std id, std name, yeah. Tadi std id, std name, std subjek tadi lah. Apa subjek semua lah. Total sub. Apa total sub? Salah lah ni. Salah yang tadi ni. Okay, but this is just to show you the input supposed to be over here. Okay, the output supposed to be over here. Okay, what it must based on the process. Process.
Okay, sir. Sorry.
Okay. Oh Hua Yang.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, good. Okay, correct result the same lah. Okay, subject 1, subject 2, subject 3. Define the units. What unit kan? You should define the one in the given data. Matric ID name subject 1, subject 2, subject 3 as constant. Define the matric ID name subject 1, subject 2, subject 3 as input value, and then put a star. Okay. Alright. Okay. Okay. This one kan. Input. Input. Sorry. Input. Subject 3. Ni. Subject 3. Input. Okay. Good. Okay. And then calculation. Okay. Calculate. No input. No output. Display. No input. And no input. We have output. Output. Okay, good. And go back to main. And let's say we have the IPO. Next step is to do the flowchart. Okay, either you combine all together, provided that the process is back to back. Okay, then you may combine everything. Otherwise, you need to do it separate. Okay, let's say in between matric ID input and name input, there's a calculation over here. So you cannot combine. Okay, you need to separately do the inputs. Okay, do input for matric ID and then do the calculation, which is the process. Next, continue with input name, subject 1, subject 2, subject 3. Okay, if in between the inputs there's a other process other than input lah, calculation ke, output ke, decision ke, looping ke, understand? But if this is a situation, then you may combine everything in a single input symbol. Okay, this is the calculation, this is the output. Okay, correct. Total. Make sure you follow the name that you define in the IPO and PAC lah. It should be the same. Okay, if you use total fees, make sure over here also total fees. Okay, consistent. Okay, algorithm same with the flowchart. You may put it in a single line. Read matric ID, comma name, comma subject 1, comma subject 2, comma subject 3. If in between there's no other process. Okay, calculation and print everything. Okay, end. Okay. Right. So for the third question, do you have any question over here, class? For the second question. Ada?
Sir,
Hmm?
For the IC table, the number kita kena letak
If the question doesn't require you to put, then you don't have to put the numbers.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Okay.
Ada any question? Tak ada Alright, the last question, okay, same supposedly there's one figure, this is table kan. One figure shows the receipt. So remove from here. So you need to imagine by yourself what should be the receipt kan. So we have two items kan. Of course, when you want to buy items, you need to have the quantity kan. So that one you need to include in your design. What is this? See, you don't have to put like this. So just straight away use the name For example, what do you mean? Ni.
I want to like let it be the unit. So during the calculation, I know how many amount of the unit times the money, the price. Then only I
You
can
mean
get the total.
you mean quantity, right?
Yeah.
Quantity lah. Okay. The variable name should be understandable lah. Don't you see as this is wrong So use a quantity lah. Quantity. Okay, so this is the variable. So you need to print quantity as well. If you need to print, then you need to have it in the required result. Otherwise, no need to put it in the required result. Total price and total price. Let's say total price. We know that total price. This is total price of everything, and because we only calculate this nothing else, so this is total price. I want to use total also can because this is very simple equation. So this need to be included in the chain. Right? Ini sama lah. Need to change this. Okay, this is the IC. Okay, so this clearly need to be changed lah. Okay. Okay, boleh? Boleh kelas?
Yes, sir.
Sarah Nisa. Ada Sarah Nisa? Ada? Sarah? Sarah? Tak ada Sarah?
Ada sir, ada.
Okay, this is correct. Okay, we have the correct input, we have the correct outputs, equation, and solution alternative also correct. Okay, this is good. Then IC, okay, calculate, okay, good, print, okay. Okay, this is good. Okay, any question? Question number 3. Ada? Okay, so for this week lab exercise, okay, supposedly week 4 kan? Week 4 supposedly we do exercise on the decision logic structure in class. But we haven't discussed it on lecture kan? Lecture is tomorrow. So tomorrow we are going to discuss on decision logic structure. Okay, next. But you may look at the exercise first. This is the exercise for this week. Okay, but clearly the exercise is on decision logic structure. But you need to produce a PAC, okay, the IC, the IPO, okay, the IPO, flowchart and algorithm. Okay, so for now, you don't have to submit first. Okay, just read it and based on your prior knowledge, just write down the PSC lah. The input, I say, supposed to the input, the output. Okay, but the part of the decision, just leave it first. Okay, same goes to the IPO. Just do whatever you think supposed to be the answer lah. So tomorrow, after we finish with the lecture discussion, then I will give you time until Sunday to complete the task. Okay, and submit before midnight on the Sunday. Okay, this exercise over here. Is it okay, class?
Okay, sir.
Okay. All right. So fill in the attendance and that's it for today. See you guys tomorrow morning. Okay, don't be late. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.